Waka wow wow. Do the car wash.
Okay.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You know that song?
No.
You ever had a disco car wash?
No.
I have. It's pretty cool.
Here today we have our guest.
Josh Stewart.
Josh Stewart, welcome to the Catalyst Cast.
And what do you do?
I'm a video game designer.
Oh, cool. Well, got anything else?
We'll see y'all later. Good night. What's your least favorite part of designing video games?
Probably the fact that there's so much that you can do, but it seems like a lot of times the stuff you want to do is too difficult for you to do.
What is it that you want to do?
Well, like, for instance, the game I'm working on now, I wanted to attach a sound to the end goal and have it to where it just echoes through the game in the direction that the goal is at, but I couldn't figure it out. So I had to completely change up what I wanted to do.
You ever just want to pick it up and throw it against the wall?
No. Because I don't want to pay for those computers.
Do you think video games are a better medium than movies? No. Mm-mm. Well,
Depends on what game you're comparing to what movie. In
Yeah.
some instances, the movie would be a better medium. In some instances, the game would be a better medium.
so you're kind of on a teeter-totter?
It just depends on what you're trying to compare. Because, like, you can't compare a Lego game to Star Wars.
That's true. And you can't go to a theater and play video games.
I mean, some theaters have, like, arcades in them.
Yeah.
Like the one here in Woodward.
Oh. Yeah, I forgot about that.
So you can go to a movie theater and play video games.
They need a bigger like a bigger arcade, I think.
I feel like it's fitting, because there's, like, no one ever in there whenever I go.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's like either, and the games don't work half the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I go in there and play air hockey and it just doesn't work, and I'm like, why am I here?
I don't think it's ever worked, the table.
Stupid kids. Is this your second year or is this your first
This is
year?
my first year.
This is your first year? What do you expect to get out of this? I mean, do you want to go work and design video games, or is this kind of just a hobby?
I want to go to college and get a degree in computer science, and so this is kind of my boost on learning more about that before I go to college.
How long have you been playing video games?
My whole life, basically.
Do you have a favorite game?
Probably the Call of Duty games.
Do you have a favorite Call of Duty game specifically out of the series?
Probably Black Ops 2
Yeah, that's a good one.
on 360.
Yeah.
They ought to make a movie.
No. If you ever played one of those lobbies, no.
Do you think the
Nah.
movie would be better?
I mean, honestly, it's like it's not really even. There's not really anything movie worthy. It's
Yeah.
like it's like it's your Call of Duty shooting
Resident
action
Evil.
thing. Oh, they've already got movies.
I like those movies. The first one's pretty good. The Resident Evil. Have you seen those?
No.
Oh, you should check them
I
out.
never played the games either.
You don't like horror games?
I do, I just don't really play many video games recently.
You're just more into creating your own?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have a target audience?
For the ones I'm doing now, probably teens and adults.
Teens and adults? Rated M for mature?
No, not that. It's just the one I'm working on now is going to be more of like a nostalgic one for the adults, and then just a fun one for teens to play.
Awesome. Do you have friends that you play video games with?
Used to.
Used to? Were you in the same house, or is it like those?
Sometimes we'd go over to one of my friend's house, we'd spend the night and we'd play video games. I'd bring over my Xbox and we'd do that. But most of the time we would just play online together.
Yeah, online. I remember when we used to take those big old box TVs like that, and my friends would bring theirs over, and one of them would be on one side, we'd be on the other side, and all of us be rooting for each other, having pizza and gambling, that kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know about the gambling part, but the rest, yeah.
I don't know if that was illegal in Oklahoma.
It's we're not gambling for money.
Do you prefer playing multiplayer with people in the same room, or do you prefer playing online?
Depends on the day. Sometimes I prefer to play it with my friends. Sometimes I'd rather just play with a bunch of random people. Some people, that's how they make their lifelong friends, is playing online with randoms, and then they just click.
Do you think gameplay is more important than story?
It depends on what the developer's going for. Like on my games, I go for more of a gameplay than story. But a lot of games, you have to have the story.
What does it mean?
What do you mean?
Like, what is... I don't, like, personally, I'm not really... I like video games, I just don't really play them that much. What is the difference between... What was the word? Gameplay and story.
So, have you ever played the Call of Duty games?
I've watched people play them.
Well, in those, there's the campaign part, which is more of like the story, and then you got the multiplayer, which is the gameplay part of it. You just focus on the gameplay, whereas campaign, you focus on the story, and then you get to play bits and pieces of the story.
Yeah, the story is just the overall narrative of the entire experience.
Yeah,
you have
go with
your
Basically.
you control the main character, and that's about it. The world changes around you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's kind of like watching an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, and he's just going with it.
Yeah.
He's just going and he's killing the bad guys.
Yeah.
Except you were controlling Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Live. I was gonna bring Arnold up.
Yeah.
Good Arnold jokes.
I mean, he's iconic, classic.
You ever played Duck? What is that one where
Duck
you
Hunt?
get the shotguns
Yeah, Duck Hunt.
and you point it at the TV and pull the trigger?
No, but I played a game kind of like that on the Wii, and I'd have the gun attachment, and I'd play it.
I love those games. Just where you don't have to do anything, you just shoot them.
Mm-hmm. The plug and play games.
I could play that all day.
Yeah.
They had one. I think I brought this up yesterday. It was Die Hard game where the character just goes and you just point, shoot.
Oh, like
You
an
don't
on
have to do
rails
anything.
shooter.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's old school. I think it was on Sega.
I prefer to actually be able to control the character,
Controller.
not just the shooting aspect of it.
Did you know the Rambo game that came out like 2 years ago? I don't remember. It was an on-rails shooter that they just made, and like you had to pay $60 for, and it's not good.
$60.
For an on-rails shooter that you could pay like 25 cents to play in an arcade.
Wow, man. I love arcade games.
It's actually what I'm working on right now is an arcade type game.
Really?
I'm working on making a bunch of different small games, and we're just gonna compile them all together into one.
What are some of the games?
So I've done a sheep counter maze game, which is what I did for our 2-week competition this class. I did a glow in the dark one where the only thing you can see is a light on the ball, which is you, and then a light on the goal, which is where you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to find your way through the maze to get to that. There's one that's just an infinite level, and then I'm working on a couple of ones right now.
Is it 3D?
These are all 2D right now.
2D.
I will make a couple of 3D games to put into this, but not right now.
So you say that the 3D games are harder?
Yes.
You got the 2D games. I mean, what makes it harder?
The coding aspect of it.
Coding. I've heard that one. What is coding?
It's basically what makes the game function.
The raw data that the computer reads to
Yeah.
make it like look good.
You can see the Matrix, can't you?
But basically, you have to have a line of a line of code to go to the right, to the left, down, up. If your character shoots this thing explodes, something like that.
Wow.
Just tells it what to do.
Have you ever wanted to make films? Or do CGI in films?
Not really, because I'm not very creative in that aspect of it. Because that takes a whole different level of creativity.
Yeah, I think
Because you have to write the script, you have to get your actors, you gotta produce it, you gotta edit it, you gotta do all this stuff.
just get the other guy to do it. Take the credit.
The
Right,
other
Michael?
guy.
Then you're just stealing everything that he worked for.
Isn't that cool?
No. You're a horrible
Isn't that
person
great?
if you do that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. I wouldn't do that. I'd just messing around.
Do you have a dream project?
Ah, there we go. Dream project.
So at the beginning of the year, I wanted to make a virtual reality labyrinth game. And it was going to be just like a huge maze where you have a minotaur in the middle, kind of like a Greek mythological accurate one. And I wanted to make it to where the maze would shift and change on its own, kind of like how it does in Greek mythology. And I wasn't able to do that because, one, we don't have enough time in the school year left, and two, we could not figure out how to get the VR set up to the computers.
Man, that sucks.
Yeah.
Why does nothing work?
So I might try to do that again next year, but who
How
knows?
often do things not work out the way?
Almost once a day.
All right, great.
Whenever I'm working.
There's always one thing that just doesn't quite fit right.
Yeah. You seem to get one thing figured out, and then something else messes up.
Mm.
It's the story of my life. Well, you've been an awesome guest.
End.